Yo lo tanto anterior Canada, been for the best Australia, community organ, popular diversity community, the week, Nina, for three sheets of the chiquina, Kelakasila, hold on. We share screen, I get that kind of kind. Research methodology, nuôi khoản khuyên siêu siêu tại sự kiện dedicated to learn August under. Vàจะทำจะเรื่องคิดการในเรื่อง intellectual empathy จะด้วยสื่อด้วยสารจากบอกคุยกันจากอุดมการณ์ด้วยสื่อด้วยสาร So always try to understand how other people think and feel. What does it mean properly to do that person? Whenever you disagree with someone, try to see things from the person's point of view. When we do try to see things from other people's viewpoints, we will often find that there are some things we're right about and some things other people are right about. Hep orada duygulara sunuyorlar bağlı kannak besovan bilgiler. Tayo öğretmenler, lebedala, tayo öğretmenler, lebedala. Being able to, being able and willing to imagine how others think and feel is very important in life. เราจะไม่คุยกับการเดือดร้อนตาแล้วก็เราเรียนรู้ด้วยนั้นปัจจุบันนี้เรียนแต่มันรู้ด้วยตาเสียเรียนรู้ด้วยนั้น If everyone did this award, the world would be much better for everyone. แล้วก็ได้มีโอกาสอาตาดีนี้แต่ครั้งนี้ก็มีเป็นมีเท่านั้น There will be a lot less in suffering. จะบาดูบาชีดาบาsudah sadar dan tiba dari Australia lelo. Saya syukur kita pula lalu ada lekor ada pati-pati mengira ada ketemu. Bulan mereka cian doa dah. Always intellectual empathy about terada. Tapi itu bisa paham. The opposite of intellectual empathy is intellectual self-centeredness. Thinking centered on self. Dalam dalam tadi, kami ini kadu tulisan berdata pada jatuh. When we think from a self-centered perspective, we are unable to understand the thoughts, feelings, and emotions of others. Pep orang sunnah ya dosunni, kesunnah dalam Allah boleh bagi Allah, cibari Allah. This unfortunately is frequently the natural state of the human mind. As humans, most of our attention is focused on ourselves. What a way, our pain, desires, and exams present. So, hold on. That we recommend to develop your ability to empathize with others intellectually. Practice using the following strategies. So, to do this, we're going to practice during a disagreement with someone switch roles. Numi oda da titula oda paragani. Hinikila away law, the away mer away higini. Tell the person de paragani. I'll speak from your point of view for 10 minutes. If you will speak from mine, Mabatela Nakaturala Yidati see. This way, perhaps we can understand one another better. Make sure you're representing one another's viewpoint accurately and that no one is distorting the other's view. During the discussion, summarize what another person is saying using the structure. What I understand you to be saying is, this is correct. When reading, say to yourself what you think the author is saying. Say in the voice of the author rather than your own voice. This will enable you to bring new ideas into your mind and think within the author's viewpoint. Only then are you in a position of critique the author's viewpoint. For our Dalabamanu Arkani, the Pali debate, but Delabakasata Tila, the Katurala, the Upgrade Purati so, but two Upgrade Purata. When you know, me remember, not you dealing with the party. When you but intellectual empathy, my perspective was as follows. This is what I think, and this is what other person's view is. You are. The other person's view was as follows. Well, Dati, about having again, with the Tidadi or we practice learning more and this. Intellectual integrity. Ricky kind of knew that integrity that to tolerate or to tell by never about kidding in love act towards others the way you want people to act towards you. Mabadi is respect others in the same way you want to be respected. Don't expect others to act better than you're willing to act yourself. The bounds from Mila got trained I really didn't got trained by usually. Well, this thought is hurtful enough. Consider the feeling of others in the same way you want the feelings to be considered, because you don't know what others to be rude to you, or you don't want others to be rude to you. Avoid being rude to others. Because you don't want to be harmed by others. Be careful not to harm others. Intellectual integrity versus intellectual hypocrisy. Intellectual integrity means intellectual hypocrisy. The opposite of intellectual integrity is intellectual hypocrisy, state of mind unconcerned with true, honest, and other marked by unconscious contradictions and inconsistencies, because the mind is often egocentric. It is skillfully evil because of its innate need to project a positive image. The appearance of integrity is important to the egocentric mind. Therefore, we actively hide our hypocrisy from ourselves, and although we frequently expect others to adhere to much more rigid standards than the standards we impose on ourselves, we see ourselves as fair. Although we possess certain beliefs, we often fail to behave in accordance with those beliefs. Dala thodala taro damita no mina da amata ne da chila damita toba da la thodala taro bokoshi. Akora couple bokun angini la ya do so egocentric ni ya do so limita amikuala limita kurti la do so for me Pagatilogi, Patagama, Pagatilogi, Patador, and Patatino. Patilla, Gwenny, Dollar, Patilla, Gwenny, Sunodala, Bala, Miva, Suni, the Baba. I keep a Suni, Gwenny away in the Tala, Tola, Baron. That damn me, that no name. Atala Kamaluni, Paga practice, Pagamalu, discuss a dimension of your life that you suspect holds someone inconsistency or contradictions, where you probably are not holding yourself to the same standard to which you both are nice. Think of a situation in which your behavior contrasts what you say or believe. This might be an intimate relationship. For example, complete the following statements. The balcony, Bamara is a vegetarian. So, volunteer is a civil. Tala yellow money, the man. Tala days, the day of you not vegetarian together. You all only cool, like Sivasa, Puponi, Tala yet that's her money. Or when you walk full of money, like a maluza bileni. So, more than a dollar. Tala yem money, Toda day. The context within which I fail to have intellectual integrity is that without hair, you don't one, you dare to move your mouth and move in this context, I would or do expect others to behave as follows. Like a dog the reason I fail to have intellectual integrity in this situation is that you to change this situation. I need to intellectual perseverance. Intellectual perseverance means working your way through intellectual complexities despite frustrations you face in dealing with those complexities. Some problems are complicated and cannot be solved easily. You exhibit intellectual perseverance when you refuse to give up in the face of difficulties and hindrances. The intellectually perseverant person understands that carefully and methodically reasoning through complex issues and problems takes providence over coming to conclusions quickly. Intellectual perseverance involves firmly adhering to rational principles despite the natural tendency to go with first impressions and simplistic answers. It also entails a realistic sense of the need to struggle with confusion and unsettled questions over an extended time to achieve understanding or insight. Data to stand with to stand. Da kubakutil urut to stand with. Kami koa wala kuni bederos heso bederos hemma bederos he selena. Away in his dolo body the book uda tatsutan mela ta maluto tathina na swim on mamula kedi le mamula kedi chikamati lady zola the adorable palisoshin palisoshi ali baronote the palisoshin the eromini Kamala de ero through kunu de ero kunu to sudan mela tamalupu ba pura yon but ero masapu perseverance ni tasutan mela tamalu saya klitapu semalu ni ko na ki kunu chana ki se hold on la practice na tamalu intellectual perseverance. Most people have much more physical perseverance than intellectual perseverance. Marikini ba tu sa kuni ali de tu sa kun ba tu adu ba mala ba tu 고상한 과제한 디니 바라는 디니 바라는 때리 바라는 때리 이마서리 네원나 해리니 어이 말보야 질레 볼 토나이 걸 소냐 질레 말라 사이 띠띠띠띠 이건 사이나 이만 모도리 너는 porque 다니 porque 마고 콘 사는 그 두고에 너 사는 그 두고에 on the other hand, most are ready to admit no pain okay padalani duluthi là sahabat dengan no pain okay thì nó và classic của đang đi on an khiển song khiển no pain no gain nó the sahabat dengan. When talking about the body, on the other hand, most give up quickly when faced with frustrating intellectual problem. Never news have a the couple that kakala bakabale couple issue. Thinking of your own reason, especially in studying and learning, how would you evaluate your own intellectual experience on a scale of 0 to 10? What are we MSS alone? MSS Nakwala? Tamalu Puna, Tamalu Malumado Punina, Matun Kunuri, Nikilonita, Ni. What let us him make Helena with us with Yagiala, Bamana, like it blown. I could get the meaning to clear and look at the meaning, the material that I get and maybe they are and the best name of the man, Nikilanda, 0 to let us see. By explaining the score you gave yourself, then by shape that year, Kilanda Maskai, Nikilanda, take couple of confidence in reason แต่ละคิดค่านี้จะอุดมการงานนี้เราตามเลยกับส่งส่งมา confidence in reason is based on the belief that one's own high interest and those of humankind at large are best served by giving the freest play of to reason, by encouraging people to come to their own conclusions through the use of their own rational faculties. It is based on the belief that with proper encouragement and cultivation, people can learn to think for themselves, form insightful viewpoints, draw reasonable conclusions, think clearly, accurately, relevantly, logically, persuade each other by appeal to good reason and sound evidence, become reasonable person despite deep-seated obstacles in human nature and social life. When one has confidence in reason, one is moved by reason in appropriate ways. The very idea of reasonability becomes one of the most important values and a focal point in one's life. In short, to have confidence in reason is to use good reasoning as the fundamental criterion by which to judge whether to accept or reject any belief or position. Now, ta nani ngo fala ta sukumi sukumani baka uro ta sumura shishebu lulu bubla la aba la uro ta sukumi sukuma lo di sen do baka kito baka ti lo aba do uro ta uta la ta uko sound evidence that we call the nani of theme. Confidence in reason. Jan nani of that as soon as Dala Todala Varada we come distrust, blind faith. Namusura jealousy, gate, fear, the bleeder, like a guala anina. Gay couple and by your body in does the trust evidence, facts, and reasoning. That we go the nani or say, God or over the soon. The opposite of confidence in reason is intellectual distrust of reason. Dala Todala Taratani wing, Dala the Nani, Danitakola. Undisciplined thinkers feel threatened by good reasoning. Wala to order sumula abani or the pan. Wami order sumula with kind of with it. Why double by you love double by nature, people are not adept to analyzing their views. No, Nisra web open, open bahuda. Betatila Petasukumoti Betatina Boweva. Yet we tend to have complete confidence in our own views. Nyone Besata Tina Bala, Besata Tina Banani or Bulla. The more we analyze our views, deeper the more we see problems in our views. And the less we want to hold views we have not analyzed. Practicing. Instead, people tend to have uncritical or blind faith in one or more form, often resulting from irrational drives and emotions. Talabaga one kwasa nyon ni pala panna o pe e o bat basa one panna misu o pe misu o pe timi to no pe to sukumu tala aki kwaso kwa oba dodi to charismatic national leaders think of leaders able to excite millions of people and manipulate them into supporting unjust wars, or even in the case of Hitler, to support genocide or an entire ethno-religious group. Pagwad dito kunana apasyo na pator pudor kerana pala ke ketitra pala ke pa wakute pala ke pamusim pa kelawas koweni na dito la kedu dara kaman dawo dito Hitler the sinya at the balani wala po kyudo torturing for charismatic cult leaders wala kewera kunala tabudabala atami la ba awe sugumana kamana tir kapa po kyudo o bini pani o kelala kuna yerala ngasa palamo because para ka lucky to kind of people with social status or position, but the long in order of the online at the world put a tuto, but I gave out the tip had to Masayani, put a lot daily in a kilo. But I am who that time. I gave a little Patina, total Patina like a lack of with the ball, so a day killing him now. Powerful, while or a second ring. At couple of the second one, yeah, I gave up back 12 away glam. Yeah, you now popular over the swimming pool. That way, the penny, my burglary, but just for the down there, jumping away, popular, but do you burglary, but done none of the just swim over. What shape the girl, the body horror, the young like it kind of intellectual autonomy. Talk about the media living autonomy like a sound way the Milan had the metal of Intellectual autonomy means thinking of oneself while adhering to standards of reasonability. It means thinking through issues using your own thinking rather than uncritically accepting the viewpoints of others. The Miller na all samutur minna poro danane all sala patati nagine pa sumu patati ne pa sumu la taki pasokwana but the namutu tulomitu banga tatina. Intellectual autonomous thinkers do not depend on others when deciding what to believe or what to reject. Asini tala panga hekaba tulomine kaba thodamine the They are influenced by others' views only to the extent that those views are reasonable, keeping the evidence. The Nidala Parata Tina, Parata Tini, or Tautalo Til Setla Yanani, Yanani Bumana, now. Opposite of intellectual autonomy is intellectual independence. Intellectual dependence. The Nidala Parata Tina, the Nidala. Opposite of intellectual autonomy this intellectual conformity. Ni baga na to yin na po, ni baga ti to yin ti po. Everything. Intellectual autonomy is difficult to develop because social institutions such as they now stand depend heavily on passive acceptance of the status quo, whether intellectual, political, or economic. Thinking for oneself almost certainly leads to unpopular conclusions that are not sanctioned by the powers that be, whereas there are many rewards for those who simply conform in thought and action and social expectations. Nicola, da sono la nostra because sono la nostra so do che in ma che dopo ma ti qui che na che sa thola na che sara we ta ti de ga yi ti de na pa di yi ti la ba di no pa la mi ti di no po kwe wa de ki lo ari ki no pa na kwa la ta po ti pa mi le ti ru pa de pa mi le mu ru pa pa mi ari ke pa ti po pa ta yi ki lo guardo la so si pune sai shu cream to bli pa ta we will see to bli la agave se to thoda ari she sa lu ke pa da we se to bu thoda bu in the little social relationship so da ni na ke se to da we se to da no bu pa de la ba ba pa ti ni ba pa ga ni la da pi da pu to ba la la ka sa ga ni so da ni na ni ba tu pa la Israel la ka sa ba tu pa la ka sa ya ni ti ni di aware all not saying in analyzing some of the beliefs that come to you have come to accept, complete the following statements. One belief I've been taught by my culture about the way people should behave in group is I've been taught by. In analyzing this belief, I do or do not think this is rational because one belief I have been taught in about religion is I've been taught this by. In analyzing this belief, I do or do not think it is rational because one belief I have been taught by my parent is. In analyzing this belief, I do or do not think it is rational because one belief I have learned from my peer group is. In analyzing this belief, I do or do not think it is rational because one belief I've been taught by a teacher is. In analyzing this belief, I do or do not think it is rational because the way you think about it, we're quite a big amount of people. You think that you might part a deal or in Bakelo. Yet the got a deal or in Bakelo, you throw a deal, you throw a deal or Bakelo. Tawi pasuluya di la bakelo Pemit uro ta kipa sopwa tala penapu tala pemaluni nani baga poda kila meti block no but so tea but da tea da kora we ni ta to pania kora ta kipa sopwa ta solo pemaluni pa sumuna midi about because they team party land. Away in Nala, away Kasaya, in Kasaya, Peter Kelly, away in Brahma, so the thing for the setting. God is the only person who can help us discern what is right and wrong, what we should believe and should not. And God is the one who will give us wisdom. Away the coming, dear, Tamale, put the door in a intellectual. As humans, we think as critical things, we analyze thinking. Nipa hapo on the sumra usually. Not critical thinking, pala over the sumu that keep us upon away, keep us upon swim. For a year, I'm a part of the current. And that's with us, I can say. We you learn the Victoria in popular academy to clear vegetarian body back and you look kitchen in that need the clue back for my lecture in I was like, so you know, and a time for saya sunnah lenada todo dalam manifestasi dalam seluruh Akurangan saya bisa sunnah dan kita saya sunnah mana nama saya tahu putus saya sunnah saya bersama saya tuna saya hisoi gemina saya betul sukhina saya hina jatuh ni tahu when saya salah dan saya syukur tapi kami orang Shania email te Shania messenger putih tapi dengan aku menyebutkan retail karena ni aku pura na pause kerja ni maju ke sharing ada ni email putih tapi saya sharing